Good morning, everyone. How you doing? My name is Zach Clayton, and I want to welcome you to a brand new effort by everyone that you see here, plus others. We're all small business owners, or we work in the nonprofit world, and our aim is to try to help everyone. Veterans and civilians alike in suicide prevention. Okay. I'm sorry, February 22nd of every year, I run a 22-hour program for our veterans. And you see three people here out of the 7 programs that we're working with who came up with the idea that, you know what, running this program for 22 hours is great, but then not doing anything else about it for the next 364 days, that's not a good thing. And so we've decided, we've come together, and yeah, we're going to talk about our programs because every single one of us, we do something different, and we can help out the nonprofits. But our main goal is to try to give people the opportunity and just solutions when it comes to suicide. As you saw in that video, by the end of 2020, we were losing one person every 11 seconds who were taking their own life. And that is just, that's an awful, awful statistic. 2021, we don't have those numbers yet, but I'll bet you those numbers are equal or worse. So, but this is the premiere show. Mayday, we have a problem. We welcome you, and I would like to introduce first, great friend of mine, Stephanie and I work together the first and third Wednesday of every month to introduce nonprofits with One Hope Wines. How are you doing, Stephanie?
I'm doing great, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Can you take a real quick moment and talk to people about One Hope Wines and what they do?
Absolutely. So, hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Simoes. I work with nonprofit organizations and people year-round to assist with fundraising through One Hope Wine. We are a cause-centered winery out of Napa Valley with over $9.7 million donated to date. Yes, that's an update, Zach. We have an increase. So what I do is I specialize in fundraising, gifting, private wine events, and wine delivery. When you pour a glass of wine, it's a great feeling to know that that bottle made an impact for a cause that's important to you. I'm also the co-founder of P&S Properties. We are a small family-run business that's working to curb the homelessness crisis in our veteran communities. So we work with HUD-VASH recipients on housing, and we're working to build veteran communities while providing support and resources. I'm really happy to be here. This mission is important to me because the last few years, working in the nonprofit space, I've learned a lot about where we are lacking in support for our veterans. And I believe that education and resources for those needing assistance is really important to help bring the number of losses in the other direction. So I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for the invitation, Zach.
Well, Stephanie, I appreciate you jumping on board. And yeah, I'm the one who's speaking out. But this is a community effort of businesses, and one of our goals is to put together a database of programs that when somebody needs help, we can instantly send them to somebody who's going to be able to help them. Once again, veteran, civilian, children, adults, whatever. So another great, wonderful person joining us is my brother. This guy, Roy. I'm not joking. This guy is one of the reasons why Community Pay It Forward is still around, still alive. Mr. Z from Z World Webs. Hey, brother.
Hey, brother. Thank you so much for the kind words, and thank you for having us here. It's great we got people like Stephanie and your audience tuning in, like Junior and many other people. So thank you, Zach, for putting this meeting together, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't acknowledge what's really going on with our ignored veterans. So thank you for having me here, brother man, my brother from another mother.
Yeah. Like I said, we wouldn't be here without you. Tell us a little bit about Z World Webs and some of the things that you guys focus on.
Sure, absolutely. So Z World Webs, you're talking to him right here. I am a Mr. Z. I develop custom websites for nonprofits, veteran business owners, and entrepreneurs like yourselves who are looking to develop a custom website. Now, websites anyone can build, but I want to give that person a sense of power and control of their websites. But the reason why I really do it is just to understand how we could make Z World a better place. So that's why I want to get involved with helping more nonprofits, helping business owners who don't have the right resources to build their own website. And ideally, if they can build their own website, great. You don't need to hire a marketing company $25,000 to $30,000 just to get your message across. I mean, if I can do it, you can do it too. Not to take a shot at marketing companies, but I'm just putting it out there.
Tell us, and this is really important for nonprofits, and I don't want to turn this into a a nonprofit show all to itself, but tell us the reason why, one of the big reasons why you want to make sure that your website is ADA compliant.
Well, there are many reasons, but the most important reason is that all information should be accessible for those who are either visually impaired, hearing impaired, I shouldn't say impaired, who don't have the advantage as we do. And this includes those who have motor impaired skills. I know, there I go saying impaired again, but the point is people want to make their websites ADA compliant only because they want to avoid lawsuits. Sure, you could get a lawsuit, but that's not the main reason. Everyone has the right to visit websites, apps,
Mm-hmm.
buildings, or places if it's accessible for those who are on wheelchairs, for those who rely on a stick to travel around. And it's very frustrating, not to get off on a tangent, where there are parts in a subway platform where it's designated to those who are blind and people are standing over the yellow line that's for the blind people uh, to hit their to tap their sticks in the right place. So what I'm going at is the reason why I'm focused on making websites accessible. Big shout out to Detective Trevor, who is an expert in that, is to make sure that everyone gets the information that you're trying to share without having to download third-party software or have someone read it to you. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of websites out there that are ADA compliant, and some people might say, "Do you hear yourself? I've been in the business for 30 years, and what you're talking about doesn't make any sense with my sick
Oh,
IT
there can't
staff."
be people out there like that, can there? Hey, you
Well,
know what? One of the biggest reasons why ADA compliance is so important is you got to remember, you know what? Everyone shops, whether their
mhm,
vision is not what uh, mine is or yours is. Everyone shops, okay? And
mhm,
if they cannot read or utilize your website, they have no chance, no chance of shopping with you. So let's make sure that people, can shop with you. So uh, again, my name is Zach Clayton. I run a couple companies, Community Pay It Forward and Community Dare to Care. And these companies were started after a motorcycle accident. This is going to be 9 years in August. where somebody ran me off the road and left me in the ditch for 7 hours. I ended up fracturing my skull, busting up my face, and breaking my neck. And what we do is try to help people. That's simply it. We worked with wonderful people like Mr. Z. And if you hire Mr. Z to do your website and you say, you know what, I came through Community Pay It Forward and I want to support one of these wonderful causes that we work with, Mr. Z will give me a referral award of, and we're just going to keep the math simple here because I graduated from Kansas, so I need simple math. So if Mr. Z gives me $100, we're going to give anywhere from $80 to $100 or $80 to $90 of this to the organization of your choice. Speaking of organizations, we have Mr. Dennis Schroader, who is joining us. How are you doing, Dennis? I'm sorry, I thought that I sent the email to you.
You know, you did send the email to me, and it was in the account for the Price of Freedom Foundation that I simply had not checked this morning. So I was sitting, waiting in another room and trying to figure things out. And finally, after 20, 30 minutes of old man frustration here, I finally got here.
Okay, you know, old man frustration, that's kind of, I'm at the very beginning of the old man frustration stuff. You know, we've got two young, vibrant people who are here, so hopefully they can help balance us out a little bit. Dennis, please tell us about the Price of Freedom Foundation. And hold on, just before you do that, I want to introduce everybody to Dennis Schroader. He is our special guest today. And Dennis has a story about what our mission is. And Dennis is a perfect example of somebody who found a reason to stay here, to stay on this earth. And after he tells us about his program, we're going to hear this story. So, Dennis, please tell us about Price of Freedom Foundation.
Absolutely. Thank you. The Price of Freedom Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is dedicated to telling the complete life stories of those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom, our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who died while in military service to our nation. And that's both active duty and reserve components. We do this by taking a deep dive and finding as many people who knew the fallen as possible, starting from childhood and going all the way up to their death, doing in-depth interviews with each of them, doing additional research, getting copies of things like the military records, but also things that talk about the personal side. So copies of personal letters that folks are willing to share, photos, videos, social media accounts, etc. We record all of those interviews with the intent to tell the story in a video documentary format. And we give all of that material to a writer to produce a written biography. Our intent on each of these stories is to produce a book of 150 pages or longer. Two specific issues or missions with this. Number one, with the book, the purpose is to provide for the needs of future generations, and the intent with the video is to reach as wide of an audience as possible. And we want to offer. We're currently working with 4 Gold Star families. We have produced our first book, which is now available. It's on Barnes & Noble. Don't know if it's populated to the other sites yet. Called Silent Soul, the Machinist Mate First Class Alfonso Abdal Amos story. And we will be giving hard copies of this book to the family and the people we interviewed at no cost to them at a ceremony probably in November So we intend to do that for each family we serve. So I think that wraps it up in as short and concise a manner as I can. But you had invited me here to talk about my own experience with being tempted to commit suicide, and the choices that took me and kept me here, right?
First and foremost, thank you for what you do, because you do something that even the Gold Star families do not, they do not celebrate somebody who took their own life, even though there are times that their service is a big reason why their life was taken. But Gold Star families do. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and talk bad about them, because it's very 501c3s are not easy things to accomplish. They're really not. But let me real quick run down the list of some of the other people, and I want to thank really quickly. I want to thank Jeremy York for allowing us to once again broadcast on Things Network. Things Network is usually about paranormal, and most of his shows he wants them to be about paranormal, but Jeremy really supports our mission on trying to help people through suicide, through all of this. So thank you, Jeremy. And Stephanie, it looks like we're getting some movement from your channels, so that's great to see. I also want to thank the Auxilia team. Nonprofits, if you're looking for a donor management system, get a hold of Auxilia. Let them know that we sent you, and we can not only help you do wonderful things with your organization, but we can also help support it just by hiring Auxilia. We've also got Mr. Trevor Gibbs. Mr. Z had mentioned him before. Look, we're not joking about ADA compliance. $75,000 if you get caught. And it's not by the government, it's by money-hungry lawyers. Nobody gets that $75,000. It's not going to go to help somebody, except for a lawyer. He's going to buy a new vehicle. We're also going to be joined by Mr. Richard Kaufman, which is one of the nation's top veteran podcasters. Richard Kaufman's got a great slogan. Mr. Z, you and I have talked about this before, but his slogan after he attempted suicide and talked himself out of it, he was going to drink himself to death, and thank the Lord that changed. His slogan is, "Today I decide." I think that's a beautiful thing, Today I decide. You tell us what you decided to do. Tommy Bob, he's got a wonderful program that he helps you lower your bills, and it doesn't cost you any money if he can't lower your bills. But his thing is, support your nonprofit by letting your bills pay you. And then another great friend of ours, Sierra Joy, Obsidian Assistance. Look, you guys are going to love her because she's so young, so brilliant, so vibrant. She's just great, exciting to work with. And our friend Stephanie has a meeting with her later on today, and I cannot wait for that meeting because a lot of us are just introduced to each other. So but and look, we're looking for more people. If you have anything to do, or if you care about the lives of other people, all you have to do is contact us. Use that little QR code that you see in the corner, and you can come on and talk to us about a story that you have, a program that you have, a product that you have, because everybody heals different. So, Dennis, let's talk about your story, please. And
Sure.
just to let everybody know, look, a lot of these stories are going to be heavy, but they're true. And Dennis's story is a success story. Not
Thank you
all
very
of
much.
them are.
Yeah.
So,
There's far too many who succeed at taking their lives, and I came extremely close to that. I was born into a Navy family. I'm the oldest of 7 children. We always lived in tiny apartments or houses, and always in very cramped quarters. I was always the new kid because we moved very frequently, and we moved more frequently than the Navy required, because my mother had been from a small town in Montana, and when she was at the military bases with this passel of kids, it was too much for her, and she was just not okay with being there and not feeling like she had friends to help her or family to help her. So every time my father would move out or go to sea, we would move to this tiny town in eastern Montana. Every time he'd have a shore assignment, we'd go to wherever that was. Usually it was San Diego. So I grew up as the new kid all the time. I think I changed schools 9 times in 8 grades. And I quickly learned how to make myself invisible. Because it didn't matter which group of kids it was, whether it was, the Cheyenne kids on the reservation school that I went to in Montana, or the racial mix of kids that were at the Navy schools on the base, or the parochial schools off base. There was always a mix, and there was always somebody who saw the new kid as being someone that was easy to pick on, and that was me. And so I learned to just keep everything in, and to be as invisible as possible. When my father retired was at the time I was starting high school, and he had settled in Tacoma, Washington, and had sacrificed really to put me into the best school that they had in town, which was an all boys Catholic college prep school. And at the time that I was starting to get interested in girls, I now was in this new social setting, and all the other guys I was with had grown up and gone to the Catholic grade school. So they, at least socially, the girls in town, I didn't have any of that. And I just had all these, I always felt like I didn't fit in, and I felt like an outsider, even there at the school, even to a degree amongst a very small circle of friends that I had at that school. And I just was so messed up. I was hating aspects of my life. And all of my anger and frustration was self-directed, inner-directed. So what happened was that somehow in this community, or our household, I happened to be alone in that house one day. And that was a rarity, because with 6 or 7 kids at that time, and my parents, it's like that almost never happened, because if my parents weren't there, I was the one responsible for watching my brothers and sisters. So I can't recall the specific circumstances, but I do remember very clearly that we all knew that my father had a loaded .38 revolver that he kept at the house all the time for the possibility of needing it for protection. Always had the hammer on an empty chamber. And I knew where it was. And I took the gun out. I had it to my right temple, and I had my finger on the trigger and was about to pull that trigger when the thought came to me. And different people say it's different things. It's probably the closest that I've experienced to a divine intervention, because the question that popped in my head was, what will your parents think if they see you, you come home from wherever they were and they find their oldest son with his brains blown out all over their bedroom? And I wasn't mad at my parents. I wasn't mad at them at all. I was mad at myself. I was mad at, I guess the world in a sense. And that thought was what kept me from pulling the trigger. I took my finger off the trigger and I put the gun away. And I never spoke to anyone about this for at least, I was 17. I was probably in my my late 40s or early 50s before I ever told anyone at all about this. And now, was that a one-time thing? Yes, it was a one-time thing where I actually made that or came very close to actually committing suicide. But I wrestled with the same inner thoughts or demons for all of my time in the military, and for a significant number of years after I retired from the military. So, it was a struggle, and I am blessed to say that I have not had those kinds of thoughts appear in my head for at least the last 10 years. I'm 66 now. I'll be 67 soon. And I can't put my finger on exactly what it was, but I have a guess. And that was because I just felt as these, I call them mental storms, because that's what it really felt like eventually. I would have these thoughts that were the absolute worst possible things you can think of to say to yourself, about yourself, accuse yourself of. That was what was going on in my head. And depending upon the setting and environment I was in, if I was alone, I'd shout them out loud to myself. And I would, I tried fighting them. So I would purposely try to put in and counter with positive things that, people had said and that I knew, but it just seemed to make that storm stronger. So eventually, I decided that because all of these times that this was going on, there was the temptation to go out and do something, jump off a bridge, run my car into, an embankment or whatever. And if I was out and about and moving around, there was a possibility I could have succumbed to that temptation. So what I eventually came to was a decision that basically two things. I was going to stop fighting these storms, but more importantly, that I was going to find a place where I could be still. And so that was my real commitment, was that, when I felt these storms coming on, I would just take myself someplace quiet, and I wasn't going to go anywhere until it was over. That was the commitment that I made. And these would go on. Sometimes they were very short in duration. They'd be maybe 10, 20 minutes. Most of the time they were much longer, 1-2 hours or so. But what I discovered was that if I let them go, if I didn't do this wrestling with them, that eventually they stopped. Like a storm. The storm passes. The storm rages and then it passes. So that's why I was. That's why I called it a storm, because it's like how just trying to figure out how to describe it to somebody else. That's the best allegory that I could come up with. And so I come to this from the perspective of someone who came within that much of actually ending my life, because I'm quite certain that gun would have done the trick. But also someone who has wrestled with suicidal ideation, horrible self-talk for a very long period of time. And I think that I have at least some perspective on those who may be wrestling with these issues today.
Dennis, let me ask you a real quick question, and then I want to go around and I want to see if anybody else has anything to say. First off, once again, congratulations on all the hard work, because this isn't something you still struggle, correct? I mean, you still have
It not anywhere close to this.
not-
Not anywhere close to that. So I mean,
Right.
I'll be frank and honest. I mean, my nonprofit, I'm not getting the kind of backing and support that we really need, and so there's a temptation to be depressed about that. So that is a struggle, but is nothing compared to what I was dealing with before, because I have learned over the years that I can refocus and focus on the good things that we have done, that we've accomplished. And I can focus on those who are supporting me versus those that say they're going to and don't, or those that we ask to and you never hear from them again. So I choose instead to focus on those who are standing with me, who have supported me, and who do support this cause. So from that perspective, I think that's a strategy that can help to minimize whatever battle somebody's facing. No matter what it is, there's truth. A lot of the things that what I was saying about myself and demeaning myself about were true. So that doesn't mean that the conclusion, therefore, is that you should end it all. That is not true. There's equally there are other truths that are also present, and those are the ones that I focus on. The truths about those that believe in me, those that support the cause that I stand for, the people that that care about me. I mean, that's if I were to lose everything again, then there would be at least that I know that there are people who know me and who love me, and who, no matter what, at some point we all leave this life, right?
Yeah.
And I know that they will miss me, but it would be much more harmful to them if it was at my own hand, because they would be wondering, what did I do wrong? How could I have helped Dennis? How could I have helped him to make a different choice, to choose to live the life that he has and not to end it? So that's the kind of strategy that I would say. And so when you say we all struggle, yes, we all struggle. But I will say that my mental struggles they pale in comparison to where I used to be.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, because this is where I was going with this. Your reason why was you thought about your parents.
Yes.
There are organizations like Healing Warriors that are creating these little packets that they have packages that they give to people who are displaced in the community or without homes. And one of the things that they also do is they offer veterans these sleeves where they can put a picture of someone that they care about inside that, and they can put it on their gun safe. This is something that this sounds like it would have helped you. Okay. And I know that there are a lot of people who say, well, that wouldn't have worked for me. But this is something that, you got to open that box with those people or that person staring you in the face.
Right.
You think this is a good idea?
I like that approach. I really do. And you're right. Everybody has different motives for this, and so it really does depend upon that. And I guess in my from my own experience, I was one of those people that never nobody took me seriously, I guess is what I would say, because I spoke about suicide in sort of a joking way when I was in college. My college classmates often referred to me as Suicide Schroader, but those were never times when I was actually thinking about actually doing something to myself. When those times when I really was having an issue with that, I spoke to no one about it. No one had a clue. And so I would say that for those that are wrestling with it, it's going to be easier to to reach out and to offer your support and your love and your your help. But I suspect that there's a significant number who were like I was, and that was you're dealing with it entirely on your own. You don't want to speak to anyone about it because you fear the consequences of doing so, and therefore, until the act happens, nobody has a clue.
Mm-hmm. Stephanie, please join us and give us some thoughts.
Dennis, thank you so much for being here and sharing. And I know this is not my first time hearing about your story, but every time you talk about these mental storms, I get chills. I love that you were focusing on those who are standing with you. I thought that was like a really important point, to bring back up. Got to focus on the positive. And I love that you're pouring yourself into these Gold Star families, because I think that's another way for you to really pour back, and to shed light on the fallen. The work that you're doing is incredible. And I really think that you're kind of taking that energy and refocusing to shed light for another family. And that's
absolutely
incredible work that you're doing there. I know you had mentioned previously when we spoke previously that you didn't want to share, along throughout these years, right? Because maybe opportunities for you would be taken away. Do you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, this suicide, I guess I call it an attempt because it came close to that, but happened when I was in high school. And I went on and got a scholarship to an ROTC scholarship for the Army to college, and then became a commissioned officer. And number one, I know that had I been seen for any mental health counseling when I was in high school, that scholarship never would have happened. That had I sought mental health counseling, then this was in the late 70s and into the 80s and 90s, that there was a lot more emphasis at that time that the military was giving on trying to help people who are dealing with mental health issues. However, there was a structural and systemic problem with that. And that is that if you were seeking mental health counseling, if there's any hint of that you might act out violently towards yourself or anyone else, your security clearance at a minimum would have been flagged and sometimes removed. And what that means is that you are no longer competitive at all for promotion. So I knew that if this became known, and if this became known to anyone in my peer group or in my chain of command, that I would be ending my military career. And so that's basically why. But then secondly, it was a matter of all of these negative thoughts that were so condemning of myself what I was fearing is that I would hear the same sorts of things from others if I were to talk about it. That, oh, you're weak, you can't, those kinds of things. The things that kind of struck at my identity as a man, as and the like. So so there was that fear that by disclosing this, that that I'd be getting confirmation of it from other people around me.
Do you, and Z, I'll get right with you, and I'm sorry for stepping in here. Do you think that now, with the focus that we've got on mental illness, do you think that now it would be harder for somebody who's joining the service? Do you think it would be even harder now for them to get that officer promotion with something like that? With the record of a suicide attempt.
Honestly, I don't. I've been out of uniform for a long time. I retired originally in 2000, so 23 years ago. I had a 2-year stint where I was brought back in 2011 to 2013, but that's again 10 years. And so I was not, when I came back as a retiree, we were not eligible for promotion. So I really don't have a good sense of what is involved and what they focus on in terms of officer promotions today, and really haven't for the last, almost 20 years. So I really can't say with any certitude. I do know that they've been making a lot of efforts to make it more acceptable for men and women who are serving to come forward and get the help that they need. And I'm hoping that they've addressed some of those structural issues associated with it too. But I really am not in a position to say for sure.
Well, Dennis, from me, from my family to you, thank you for your service, and thank you for your success. Mr. Z from Z World Webs, please join us.
Of course, glad to be here, bestowed upon Sergeant Dennis. Great to see you again, and kudos to you for what you're doing to honor our brethren. And it's great to see you. So my question, likewise. I know we spoke in the past about how our veterans are often, sort of forgotten in the past, but you have a way to go to the past essentially and honor our veterans or brethren, whether it's our great grandfather or great parents in the past. So my question for you, Sergeant Dennis, is what successes have you seen when you have been honoring our brethren? Like what gives you joy to this day to honor our brethren?
Well, we have a small number of people that we've worked with thus far, but I will tell you that those that we have worked with, it's been very rewarding. And every story is different. Every situation is different. As when you think about it, every life is different. But I will say that it has been a voyage of discovery in each of these cases, meaning that the person who approached us and gave us permission to get started on this was, in one case, it was a daughter. Another case, well, 2 cases, it was a daughter. In another case, it was a mother. They were, had a very close and intimate relationship with the fallen. So they have a lot more depth and detail than somebody who knew them, say, as a colleague in the service, or somebody that they went to church with, etc. But in all of these cases thus far, as we meet with and interview others that knew the fallen service member that we're honoring, there's some level of detail, some of it more significant than others, but some level of detail that we're uncovering that the others did not know about. So I'll take, for example, our first story, that of Alfonso Abdel Amos. He was born in the Philippines. He served 18 and a half years in the Navy when he was lost at sea, and he left behind a wife and 3 small children. It was 24 years between his loss at sea and our starting to work to tell this story. And one of the things we uncovered was the fact that he had served in the Philippine Army prior to his joining the U.S. Navy. This was known to his widow and to basically all the other older adults in the family, but it was shocking news to his children because none of them knew that, and not in a bad way. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a matter of sometimes there are things that we know about a person that we think are, that nobody else really cares about or does, it's unimportant. And that was kind of sort of the case. We are working with Holly Higgins is the mother of an airman who was killed by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan 12 years ago. And we haven't done the detail work with that, but I will tell you that just the starting of this, and it's taken her some time to get ready for this. But there had been a rift there between her and her son's wife, and that seems to be being healed. So that's a very positive thing that I think is at least partly a result of the fact that we're trying to honor this man. Alternately, we are asking veterans to pay tribute to their fallen comrades, independent of us working with the Gold Star family. We definitely would like to be able to work that with those families involved, but I believe that there's value in veterans talking about and honoring their fallen comrades. And the very first one we did brought about healing in a Vietnam veteran who was a Navy aircraft hydraulic mechanic and had been at a pretty safe air base in Vietnam during his 9 months there, but saw what he said was 30 seconds of combat because he was on multiple search and rescue missions, all but one of which were non-events, meaning that they went and found the downed aircraft and crew, got them back safely, no hostile action, but on one there was. And on that one, he shot and killed 3 NVA soldiers, but he saw them as kids. And after, through that process, and then afterwards, him talking to me about it, he said, I don't know why I resisted talking about this for so long. He said, last night was the first night in over 50 years that I haven't had nightmares seeing the faces of those 3 kids. So there can be, that was more than rewarding to me. It was just moving that having that conversation could do that for this friend of mine. But that's what I expect, is that we're going to be finding things like this with every story that we tell and investigate and discover, that we're going to find ways for us to uncover truths about the person, so everybody gets a better picture of who this person was at a minimum. And then sometimes we're going to find out things that give more depth, that your father had served in the Philippine Army and most likely fought in combat because of things that were going on at that time. That adds a very significant layer to your understanding and appreciation for the man. Sometimes it can provide some healing from trauma that you personally experienced as well. So I'm looking forward to what's to come, and thankful to God that I have the that he put this this vision and mission on my heart.
I one of the things that I really thought of when you said that is that when you were talking is that every single one of anybody who is contemplating suicide has a different reason why they were doing, why they do this. Seeing visions of other people getting hurt, whatever it is. There's feelings that they're alone in this, but they're truly not, are they? I mean, it, and I'm not belittling anybody here, but no matter the situation, there's been somebody who's been through something similar, but of course it's going to be different because, well, this has never happened to me before, but you're not alone, right?
We're never alone. And I just can't help but have to reflect upon my own personal beliefs and faith. And that is that I believe that we were all created by a creator that knows and loves us intimately. And so with that belief, then I know that I am never alone. It doesn't matter what else. But going from that to that we were built for community. We were born into families. We have a need for other people, and that no matter how dysfunctional that family may be, no matter how painful some of the relationships may be, we can choose other more healthy relationships as we go on. And that indeed, you're right. We are not ever alone in this world from the standpoint that, nobody else has had to suffer this kind of pain. There's somebody once told me a saying that's I found to be true. It could always be worse.
Yeah.
So, thinking about my own stuff, it's like, okay, it could always be worse. It could be worse than this. So I'm going to choose to focus on what I can do. But yes, for that person who may be watching this possibly and thinking that, well, nobody would understand and nobody cares and nobody has been where I've been. I don't have anybody to turn to. What I would say is that that's not really true. It may feel that way to you. You may think that that's true, but I am 100% certain that there are people who are willing to, number one, listen to you, number two, care about what you're going through, and will do their very best to be in a place of empathy and understanding. Sometimes I think there's a distinction between feeling sympathy and empathy that we need to be careful about, because if somebody's feeling sorry for us and we're getting sympathy, that's really not helpful from the standpoint of helping that person to lift themselves up or to give them a hand up out of that muck or mire or whatever that they may be in. Somebody who has empathy, for at least my understanding of that term and word, is that that's somebody who's been there or who is there right now with you, and you're kind of walking through that swamp or that pit or whatever together, and that's always more helpful.
Well, in this, I know that Stephanie loves this, but this is where this line comes in so heavy that, no matter how softly you walk, you always leave footprints. And, that meaning that there are always going to be people out there that love you. There's always people out there who are going to be negatively affected by you leaving this earth. No matter how alone you think you are, there are people out here who care about you. So we've got about 4 minutes left, guys, and I would like to go around. Stephanie, this is our first show. Can you give us a quote, give us something that you have learned today?
I think my takeaway after hearing Dennis and, having extra takeaways from the last time we spoke actually is, lean into your faith and focus on the good, and that's what I would close it out with for myself. Focus on your faith, lean into your faith, and focus on the good.
You can get a hold of Stephanie on her link tree. You will be able to find her link tree on our website as well, which is communitypayitforward.us. Once again, that's communitypayitforward.us. You can also find all of our information, in which I know this is a huge thing to find. But if you're looking for it, just go on to Facebook, and our group is called the Community Pay It Forward One Hope Wine Fundraiser. But go on there and you can find out more about what we're doing. We just finished the month with Dennis, and this month we are starting, we're introducing possibly a gentleman who just congratulations on this, Tyreek. Are we doing them, or are they being a guest next week on this show?
They're going to be a guest on this show.
Oh, okay.
But we do have two nonprofit organizations lined up for.
Yes, we do. But we will be on at 7:00 Eastern on Wednesday night. With two wonderful nonprofits to join us. Mr. Z, what would you like to take away?
Of course, but before I take away anything, I want to give my thanks to Sergeant Dennis for sharing your story and for honoring our veterans who are often ignored. And you said something that resonated with me because Abraham Lincoln once said the best way to predict the future is to create one. And you're creating a better future for all of us.
That's beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a minor correction, because for me, after I left the service, rank really didn't matter, but it was Lieutenant Colonel.
Oh, my apologies.
That's okay.
Sure thing, Lieutenant.
And Dennis, is there anything that you would like to close us out with?
I would just say that there are far too many people who are losing the battle to this suicidal ideation. The world is not a better place by taking yourself out of it. And no matter what the problems, the pain, the situation, my statement to you is that there is a purpose for you, and that you can take that pain and you can either heal from it or help others from it. And hopefully you will see that there is a reason to continue, and that the world will be better because of it.
Well, I would like to thank everyone who has joined us. And I would like for you to join us every week as we try to talk to people who are trying to help others, because one person every 11 seconds is too many. Every single one of us, unfortunately, suicide is now like cancer. You know somebody who has left this earth. And we need to offer suggestions for help, and we need to stop this. So let's work together. And remember, when you talk to somebody, make sure that you're there for them completely. And if you need some help, please contact somebody. Once again, 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You just dial 988 on your phone. It's a 24-hour call center, and they can help you. we are going to be working on something similar to try to help out people as well. We're running over just a little bit. I want to once again thank Jeremy York of Things Network. I want to thank the team of Auxilia Donor Management, Trevor Gibbs, Richard Kaufman, Tommy Bopp, and Sierra Joy, who have helped us all put this together. I want to give a huge thanks to Stephanie. Thank you very much. And Mr. Z, and of course, Dennis. I cannot thank you enough. And I cannot welcome you to the team. You are the newest member of the team. You'll be joining us every week, helping us try to complete our mission. So my name is Zach Clayton. And I would like to thank you all for joining us, and we will see you right here, same time next week. So thank you.